Hello, Imperialism 2 fans. I'm King John VI, and I am going to be doing a multiplayer 1v1v1 commentary of a very interesting multiplayer game of Imperialism 2 that I have been playing with a couple other people. And I want to start out sort of toward the end of the game and then flip back and figure out how we got here. The year is 1684. Italy has been absorbed by Portugal. France has been nearly defeated by England. Ireland has but a single province remaining, and the entirety of the Old World has been chopped up between the major powers, with not a single native province remaining, except for one, Limatambo, in the northernmost sections. War is raging. War is raging between the Holy Roman Empire and Ireland, England and France is technically at war with Spain and Holland as well. So how did we get here? This is what we're going to go over. It's been a fascinating game, and I'm going to share it with you today. So in the beginning, we each got to select our nations. The other two humans selected England, Holland, and I selected Sweden. Now, I did name myself the Holy Roman Empire, just for a little bit of European conquest roleplay. And so how did we start out here? So, in this case, I put my capital here and surveyed my new territory. Never played on this map. None of the three of us have. It's essentially a random map. But the good thing about it is there's every single resource type being sold. There are multiple countries selling both wool and iron, as well as tin. There's copper and horses being sold, so everything's available. Makes it a little bit easier if you can't find anything, such as tin or anything really, or fertile hills or anything in your territory. So, started out pretty basic here. Everybody starts out the same. We did start with a few slightly modified settings, and I think I'm going to start by going over those because I do find that there are a few settings that are helpful for multiplayer, and there's one sort of custom rule. So first of all, we are playing on simple food economy. The reason for that is both for humans and for computers. I find it's useful because you don't get bottlenecked if you happen to start in a country with less grain. You can always build more ports, and you can develop food from the New World. You know, in the standard game of Imperialism 2, there's no way to increase the amount of food and therefore the labor force except by building ports in the New World, because there's no grain farms, there's no horse ranches. So, cattle ranches rather. So, as a result, it's if you don't play on food economy simple, essentially you do get hemmed into your starting country or starting island's food for a long time. Everything else is pretty much on normal. We did start with a hard military head start. I find that's the best so that you can't immediately take over native capitals on the first invasion, unless you're going to dedicate a little bit of time, energy, and or money to it, because you can really snowball when you take much capitals, and mostly because of the wealth that you're gaining from them. And then a few other things. Old World miners' military strength is strong to prevent early rushing on the Old World. And then the big thing here is the AI rule. They are playing an aggressive game. It makes them much better players. If you've only played with the AI on standard, I highly recommend you play with them on aggressive. Even in multiplayer, I think it makes for a much more dynamic, much more interesting game. And we're going to see the AI make some interesting moves later in the game. So, first off, nothing exceptional here. I'm going to start out heading toward these fertile hills so I can start building up some wool. That's going to give us some labor force that we're absolutely going to need. I'm going to send out a ship to explore the New World. And basically, I'm going to have to build either a builder, engineer, or explorer on the first turn. We have enough paper for that. And honestly, I really like to build another paper early. I'm not going to do that on the first turn here, but I like to build another paper early so that I can get the second one out. Because if I have a lot of hills and mountains that are unexplored like here, sometimes I like to start out with an explorer early. And I think I'm going to do that here because it's going to take me a few turns to get over here with my engineer and builder. So, the first turn I think I'm going to go for an explorer, and then I'll probably go for a builder second, or maybe an engineer. I don't know, I'll get there and decide when I get there. I think in this game I went with the builder, but I also think that might have been a mistake in retrospect, so I'm not sure. But anyway, in any event, that's how I usually start out in a country like this. And then, yeah. So then, obviously, you're going to build some peasants to get your labor force going, and purchase some goods. I like to go with wool, and frequently iron in the beginning, although you do start with a lot of iron. A third option is always tin or lumber. Timber. Timber's really good for making lumber, which you obviously need for roads and ports and forts and ships and basically everything. So that's always a good choice. But tin is very, very rare, very valuable on most maps. I'd say it's one of the rarest resources other than probably furs. So, it's really good to get. There's obviously, monetary resources like diamonds, gems. Diamonds might be just as rare or even more rare than furs in some maps. But you can get money in other ways, and you can't get furs in other ways, and you can't get tin in other ways except for by buying them. And since people are rarely selling tin and rarely selling furs, those resources, if you can get them early, get them. So, these are good buy orders. I think I went with timber in this game. But in any event, so let's look around. Spain, England, France, definitely going westward. I'm going eastward. Portugal, we looked at where they put their capital. Looks like they could go either direction. And then Holland, same thing. They actually started down here in Groningen in the multiplayer game. I'm just rehosting it here from a new game on this particular map just to kind of show what they had available to them. The computer kind of cheats. They know where mine spots are going to be when they auto-place capitals. So they got some iron ore here. That didn't happen in the multiplayer game. But other than that, this is exactly how it was on turn 1. So, what happens next? We all go and explore. By 1556, the three of us, England, Holland, and the Holy Roman Empire, have taken 3 very different stances. And I should say, technically, I haven't been referring to Holland correctly. He did name his nation BasedHolland. But, nevertheless, the Dutch Holland forces did a very heavy early push into the New World, conquering Tenochtitlan and a number of other territories very quickly. And frankly, using that money to jumpstart their tech, then they took Texcoco here, and boy, that is huge because he's got gems and gold already developed, and we're only in 1556. By comparison, in my new world, I have 1 piece of road that will be done next turn. So yeah, he's a little bit ahead there. And then even better for him, look at this. He's got 4 timber. He's got lumber already rolling in, importing that into the old world from the new. Now, because my territory that I managed to take wasn't quite as valuable, although I just found these diamonds, and I'm going to expand toward that, which is huge, but I haven't gotten there yet by 1556. And so because he's got these fantastic developments in the New World, he's going to have a larger merchant marine. But looking at this right away, England has a higher merchant marine than even Holland. Now look at this. Look at this. He hasn't done a whole lot of development in his home territory. He's definitely got his iron. He's got his wool. He's got quite a bit of lumber here in Cornwall. But look at this. He's already developed. He's captured the capital of Arawak here. Developed some silver. He's captured the capital of Sioux over here. Got some more silver and a bunch of iron. Really, they've both found some really valuable spots here. Now, interestingly, France has started buying up all the territory south of the English landing zone. Portugal has landed at Tlacopan, and Spain has landed here in the Lemni, Huanaco, and Tipu territories. So everybody's starting to really expand. But by far, by 1556, Holland is ahead in the expansion game. You have good 14 territories compared to my 11 and England's 11, with the computers quite a bit behind. Although France is kind of deceptive here for much of the game because they're going to be internally developing with the natives rather than actually outright conquering. And so we'll see how that plays out for them. That certainly can work out. But in this game, well, I'm going to do a little spoiler alert here. I don't think it really works out too well. But just looking a little more at the statistics before we move on. Again, England, highest merchant marine. England, highest labor force. I'm second place here, though, and Holland is very close behind. So we're all pretty close here. Technological development. Again, England and Holland at the top. Oh boy, this is where I'm really suffering right now. I do not have any money coming in except for selling goods, and so I am pretty far behind in technological advancement. Overall, Holland is rated at the top. So by 1556, Holland has an early lead with a very aggressive early strategy, conquering and developing the New World. England following suit as well, focusing more on capitals as opposed to going and expanding sort of along the northern line here. But it's looking interesting so far.